an award-winning series, a creative new dance, an acclaimed classic, and great theater. This is what television can be when quality is a standard. This is what television can be when choice is limitless. For those who feel quality television with real variety is an impossibility, the Arts and Entertainment Network welcomes you to the impossible. A&E, the impossible is here. The Arts and Entertainment Network is proud to present one of the finalists in the City Assets video competition. Local cable operators were invited to submit documentaries capturing the special qualities their city has to offer.
I see the light across the bay. I see the light not far away. And I hear music all around. I'm getting close to Portland town. So mother, won't you make my bed? I see the light of Portland head. I see the light. I'm coming round. I'm coming home to Portland town. I see the light across the bay. I see the light not far away. And I hear music all around. I'm getting close to Portland town. So mother, won't you make my bed? I see the light of Portland head. I see the light. I'm coming round. I'm coming home to Portland town. I'm coming home to Portland town.
Portland, Maine is a city like many others the same size, but Portlanders insist that it is different.
I think the thing that makes Portland different for me is that you have a sense of community because it's small, but at the same time you have a lot of the good things about being in a big city. You have nice shops, you have restaurants and all those good things. And yet at the same time you can bump into people you know.
You're near a big city, Boston. Of course, this is getting bigger, but you're still near the country. You got the seashore, the lakes. You've got a lot of culture here now. I guess it has just about all the things a person would want. But
I think the city of Portland's a lot cleaner than a lot of the big cities you see, and I think people are a lot friendlier here too.
It's small enough so you can walk around the streets and you know people, you recognize them, and it gives you that hometown feeling, and yet it's big enough so you don't get bored with activities.
as I said, I'm from New York, and while I miss some of the larger cultural advantages of a big city, I think Portland has more and more all the time, and without having the disadvantages.
I think people treat each other really decently here, and it has all of the positive aspects of a small town with lots of things going on. But I think mostly people look each other in the eye and say hello and are nice to each other, and I think that's great.
How is Portland different, really? Some reasons are obvious. Because of its proximity to a natural deep water harbor and easy access to the ocean for recreation, housing, and commercial use. Because of the diversity of the cultural opportunities available. Because the people who chose to live in Portland, whether the settlers who arrived in the 17th century or the newcomers of today, did so with a sense of commitment to contribute to their city, to enjoy the vicissitudes of her weather, to delight in summer, to find enchantment in winter. Because it affords a livelihood for many commuters, whether by car, foot, bus, or ferry, who like and feel comfortable working in the city. Because of the variety of its neighborhoods, the mix and blend of Indians, Irish, Italian, French, blacks, Jewish and Asian heritages. Because of its much valued human scale. But most importantly, because Portland citizens are able and encouraged to participate in local government and in all aspects of the future of their community. They have been stirred to debate, encouraged to set strategies for accomplishing goals, and inspired to continue to strive for that common meeting of the minds that makes all places livable, especially Portland. Portland has a gallant history. We shall never know the names of many early Portlanders. The city has endured devastating Indian attacks, bombardment, and catastrophic storm and fire. Time after time, the people of Portland have had to rebuild their ruined homes and start anew. The indomitable will to survive has characterized Portland and her people since its troubled beginnings.
It is a milkweed pod, and it is an early model of the one that is at Winslow Park in the city of Portland. My name is Clark Fitzgerald, and I am a sculptor, and I live up in Castine. It's an idea about proliferation of ideas. I'm not a native Mainer. I'm from the Midwest, but I came here, and I found something very, very special in Portland. There's a dynamics that we're all aware of. And I felt that this was an appropriate idea to use because Portland was in a way a hub, and there were lots and lots of ideas that were springing from it.
While acknowledging the richness of her past, Portland is very much a city of the present. But that could not have been said 85 years ago, or even 20 years ago.
Sometime in 1961, I found myself on the board of a relatively moribund organization, something called the Portland Symphony Orchestra. And by 1962 or 1963, the board of directors of that organization had a lot of people, some of whom had come from Portland and some of whom had come from away. And for reasons that none of us have ever been able to explain, either then or since, we all had a vision of what this community could be, and that community was going to be exemplified by the quality of this orchestra that we hoped to build. So by 1962 or 63, we engaged a full-time resident conductor, and the orchestra was off and running. And by the mid-60s, the orchestra was already a very tangible symbol of cultural success in the southern Maine area.
In 1970, I think that was the turning point of Portland. People began to get more enthusiastic about it. There were more restaurants that arrived. There were a group of people who were determined to make Portland a much better city and to bring it back to what it had been, well, way, way back.
The leadership of the city council, quality of design, the recognition that they had to take an item one at a time, manage it well, and then, of course, building up a capacity. That these things collectively began to put the city on the roll. And like any other thing, when you get momentum going, it's hard to stop. And I think the city is still on a roll.
And she's been rolling ever since, although many wonder how long this pattern of growth will continue. The idea that one day a $350,000 condo could be sold in Portland would have been scoffed at 10 years ago. But it's true today. Local fishermen are zealously guarding their home ports as developers pore over their blueprints and look with enthusiasm at Portland's waterfront.
The city of Portland is fortunate that the developers are primarily local and share common goals in developing quality properties. As you travel through the city, especially towards the waterfront and the rehab of the Exchange Street area, you can recognize the concern and the interest of the developers in presenting properties that relate and fit into an atmosphere which make the city of Portland a very exciting place to live.
There are 3 or 4 major efforts that the city has made to revitalize the waterfront. The first was the International Ferry Terminal in 1969. The second was the Fish Pier, which is now just being completed and about to get its auction program started. The third was the Bath Iron Works effort, where the city invested $15 million along with the state. And then the fourth is the new Catskill Bay Island Ferry Terminal. These are four very significant improvements to the waterfront.
Some of the directions we've come is taking some of these old dilapidated buildings on the waterfront and turned them into better working places for people. And some of the danger is the spillover from the uptown sources of condominiums and developers to come down and turn some of these buildings into condominiums and working places for the professional. The danger, as I see it from one who works in the waterfront, is that besides a shifting in tax base, which makes it very difficult for a business to operate in a tax base that increases as developers come in, is also it drives out what works here. And what works in Portland is fishermen, lobstermen working just under the site of some of the taller buildings uptown. If we lose that working aspect of Portland, then I think this city will become like so many others.
City Assets will continue in a moment.
I like your style, Spiegel. The way you help me find the looks I love in fashion, in furnishings, in everything that touches my life and my lifestyle. It's all here. Over 500 pages in the Spiegel catalog. Not just the smartest and most convenient way to shop. It's the only way to shop. You can order by phone 24 hours a day. Even the catalog is easy to get. Just dial Spiegel at this toll-free number, and they'll send it right out to you along with a gift. This $20 value Pierre Cardin tote bag. Big enough for exercise gear, makeup, and more. It goes where you go beautifully. They'll also include a $3 certificate, good toward your first purchase. You pay only $5, and you can charge it to your Visa, MasterCard, or American Express card. It all starts with a phone call, so do it now and experience this whole new world of fashion and service. Call this toll-free number for your big Spiegel catalog. You'll like their style.
From the time I get up in the morning, it's a race with the clock. So I don't have time to slow down for a cold, much less a cold medicine that makes me drowsy. That's why I count on Sudafed for fast relief without feeling drowsy.
Sudafed starts to relieve a stuffy nose and clogged sinuses in as quick as 22 minutes without drowsiness. Just 22 minutes, and you can get on with your day. Sudafed, the fast-acting cold medicine
That won't slow you down.
It began with a strange but familiar love affair.
You think it's possible we might have known each other before?
For what? An affair that became a journey into the human soul.
I'm on my way to Peru next week. You want to join me?
A true story so unorthodox, it borders on fantasy.
Not fantasy. It happened. It is happening.
It's metaphysical Twilight Zone mumbo jumbo.
Shirley MacLaine reaches for the fruit of the tree and goes out on a limb, beginning Sunday, January 18th on ABC TV.
The age of drama, the age of classic TV. Return to the golden age of television. A special premiere every night, all week long, only on A&E.
We return to City Assets.
This ability of everyone to make a difference is one of the elements that makes Portland stand out. The scale of problems confronting the city are not insurmountable. Systems and organizations are open to everyone with interest, energy, and ability. And there's a sense of optimism, a can-do atmosphere about Portland. But again, there are concerns. Consistent with a deficit in affordable housing is the fear that high prices will force neighborhood residents to sell and that outsiders will change the character of ethnic neighborhoods. The major issues are the rising cost of purchasing a home, fueled by high mortgage rates, the rising cost of rent, and the unavailability of multi-bedroom rentals for larger families. Still, Longfellow's beautiful town that is seated by the sea rings true, as some Portlanders mutter about gentrification of the neighborhoods and others renovate, refurbish, and remodel with vengeance. Years ago, they were talking to themselves. Now they are speaking to all of us. The people who saw the destruction of the Union Station clock as a forewarning of worse things to come if Portland residents did not unite to stop it. They formed an organization called Greater Portland Landmarks, and they brought to people's consciousness the irreplaceable value of the bricks and mortar that make Portland unique.
I think people can look back in retrospect and find that those efforts of Greater Portland Landmarks were extremely important to maintaining an important element of this community. Certainly not the only element of importance, but a significant one. Its architectural heritage is extremely important, and I think if people talk about Portland, Maine, in other parts of the country, they talk about a community which has been sensitive to its old buildings, and that has given it its character.
From the ages that are past, the voice sounds like a blast over seas that wreck and drown, over tumult of traffic in town. And from ages yet to be come the echoes back to me, "O Absalom, my son." These words of Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, Maine's greatest poet, echo true today. Deep in the tumult of traffic in town sits the Wadsworth Longfellow House. 2 centuries of a visible presence in the bustling Portland of today. Since 1901, the Longfellow House has been a focal point in the Maine Historical Society's mission to preserve and interpret the heritage of Maine. And not too far away, the Victoria Mansion beckons from another age, an elegant townhouse filled with Italian marble and sumptuous ornamentation. Open to school children and tourists alike, each help to keep Portland in touch with the past. As wonderful as these edifices are, they only touch the surface of Portland's rich architectural heritage. The whole fabric of the city is alive with well-crafted details in wrought iron fences, unusual doorways, stained glass windows, and high-rise structures mirrored in the windows of a renovated 19th century building. Just walking down the street can constitute a rich education for the person who has both eyes open to the world and is aware of the everyday surprises which abound in the city. The waters off the coast of Maine attract sailors from all over the world. Whether glistening in a sun-struck bay or shrouded in fog, her islands are a visual delight, both to tourists and to the people who choose to live on them because of their beauty, and in spite of the vagaries of ferry schedules and weather. Artists like Winslow Homer and Marsden Hartley have captured this beauty with paint and canvas. Representations of their work hang in the Portland Museum of Art, a highly praised architectural showpiece designed by I.M. Pei and Partners, which has helped to keep alive Portland's rebirth as the area surrounding this classic building spruces up to match. Around the corner, a unique collaboration of commercial development and the not-for-profit arts resulted in the Portland Performing Arts Center. This renovated Oddfellows Hall houses 2 resident professional companies, Portland Stage Company and Portland Dance Center, along with a variety of service businesses. Depending on the night, audiences may experience a jazz concert, the premiere of a new American play, or a modern dance performance. A city favorite is the Portland Symphony Orchestra, an institution whose growing critical acclaim matches the city's forward drive. But these institutions are only part of the total picture. Portland has always attracted artists of all stripes, painters, sculptors, jewelry makers, and potters. The immersion of art in the everyday life of the city is reflected in the summer sidewalk art shows. The street clowns, folk dancers, mimes, puppeteers, and street musicians. The artists who keep a city pulsating with sight and sound and whose works need recognition and support.
City Assets will continue in a moment.
He has dance to enthrall you and drama to excite you when the curtain rises on stage. Music, movement, pure magic, a ballet that glides to the sounds of Tchaikovsky, Swan Lake. It started with a secret that led to a confrontation, Lady Windermere's fan. Anne Jackson and Eli Wallach experience the trials and tribulations of the typist, and Ruby Dee stars in Eugene O'Neill's Long Day's Journey into Night. It's all on stage. Tuesday on A&E, brought to you by America's Dairy Farmers and the National Dairy Board.
The simple way to get the calcium you need has always been the natural way, from dairy foods. 3 servings from a variety of dairy foods can give an adult the 800 milligrams of calcium you need every day. Natural calcium. What could be simpler than that? Dairy calcium. Calcium the way nature intended.
Now, brilliant nail colors for today's new fashions. Lee press-on nails in 18 deep, rich, dimensional colors. Cotton candy.
Sample.
Opal mist.
Mysterious.
Lee press-on nails. 18 great nail colors you just press on with undreamed-of ease. Desert mold.
Lovely.
Fiesta.
Lively.
Sugar plum.
Luscious.
40 Lee adhesive tabs and 20 Lee press-on nails for a perfect fit. Lee press-on nails. 18 sensational fashion colors. Press on.
This award-winning daily newspaper, famous for its unbiased editorial policy, reports the news around the globe and around the corner. It's the Christian Science Monitor. Now you can subscribe to the Monitor at a very special price. Get 4 months of the Monitor delivered daily for only $19.95. Save almost 50% off the basic price. 4 months, only $19.95. And you may cancel at any time. The Monitor. Call 1-800-228-2787.
And now the conclusion of City Assets.
Someone once said that poetry programs and other programs in the arts are worthy of support, and there ought to be major support from governments for them because, after all, we are a civilization, not a corporation. And it strikes me that Portland, in that light, is extremely civilized.
I suppose what interests me about Portland and the arts is that there's so much happening in a city this size. I can't think of another city in this country where there is such a concentration of the arts, of quality arts. Children in classes from all the public schools in Portland come to the center to take classes, to take part in our free kids' afternoons. We go out to the schools, both in Portland and South Portland and surrounding communities, and bring dance into the schools.
Outreach programs are offered by the museum, the symphony, and the stage company and dance company, taking the arts to community groups and making the arts a part of everyday life. Local schools, colleges, and community theater offer outstanding stage and musical performances, as well as the collections of small but exciting galleries. On New Year's Eve, the city's arts organizations open themselves to everyone, offering entertainment in the spirit of holiday giving that is not only festive, but also memorable. Perhaps the most wonderful sight of all are the faces of young children as they grapple with the intricacies of the violin as part of a music program that is offered throughout the city to every third grader in the school system. U.S. News and World Report magazine surveyed 74 metropolitan areas in the nation to find out, quote, where business is best, end quote. Portland was rated the second best city in the country for business activity. Rankings of the cities were based on increase in the number of jobs, workers' incomes, retail sales, and construction, as well as falling unemployment. The most conspicuous development in Greater Portland is the 13-story office and retail tower known as One City Center. The ground floor level will offer more than 1 acre of floor space to 24 or more restaurants and shops. In the Old Port District, a developer is preparing the old Milk Street Armory for a new life as the Old Port Regency, a luxury hotel. Growth and development cannot take place without some kind of displacement. The earliest part of the new Portland to capture outside attention was the renovation of the Old Port Exchange. Like every city with a waterfront or riverside, Portland has an old warehouse area that served as the original downtown and then sank into neglect. Like many other cities, wise or lucky enough not to have bulldozed those areas away, Portland has now turned those commercial streets into aesthetic and economic success stories. Centered on narrow Exchange Street, which slopes down to the waterside, red brick and granite collection of small 19th century building is the entertainment and tourism link between the more serious downtown proper and the waterfront. Here again, Portland has to strike a balance between attracting business and keeping a valuable piece of real estate local and affordable for Portland merchants. Portland has her city people, her urban blight, who are poor and needy, the unemployed, the undereducated, but she also has a strong group of human service agencies, both public and private funded, who work hard at solving these problems.
I believe that the city fathers and the community, generally speaking, has recognized the tremendous economic development here in the city, but at the same time has not hesitated to look at some of the sectors of our economy which essentially are suffering. For example, there are many people in the city who are not benefiting from the economic boom that some of us are experiencing. Many of these people are poor, they're homeless, they're not fed well, they're in ill health. And I think through the leadership of the city, organizations, task forces, and so forth have been organized to address some of these problems.
What makes a city different? What makes a city livable? We don't know the answer. It's something in the air, a feeling, a sense of community, pride, and commitment to place. It's something that makes Portlanders feel they're different, and their city is special. Not perfect, perhaps, but they are willing to work things out, to listen, to argue, to establish goals, to get things done.
I see the light across the bay. I see the light not far away.
His life in the spotlight is short, but he can climb to spectacular heights. Great male stars of the ballet reveal the step-by-step price of fame in the revealing portrait, Dancer. Next.
I see the light for